today we are going to discuss some logical reasoning. So reasoning is an important section in aptitude and a student need to master it necessarily. They aim to check the thinking capability. We always seek explanation of object event. So here like deductive reasoning and inductive reasoning, two type of reasoning are there. First of deductive. Deductive means premise, like all dogs have long ears. Premise is hound is a dog. Conclusion, therefore hound is a long ears. So in deductive reasoning, conclusion is guaranteed to be true if the premise are true. Therefore, in the deductive inference, the conclusion cannot be more general in premise. Given the premise that all dogs have long ear and hound is a dog, it is logical to assume that hound has long ear. After all, in this example, having long ear are an inherent quality of dog and this argument is valid. Does it mean it is also true? So the conclusion are based on the premise and one of the premise is not true. It follows that the conclusion is not true even though it is valid. If one of the premise is not true, then the conclusion is not true. Okay. So deductive inference is further categorized into the immediate and mediate. Is drawn from two statements called the syllogism have been discussed further in this unit. So deductive is akin to analysis and separation any material or abstract entity into its constituent. Inductive reasoning is in process of making the generalized decision after observing or witnessing repeated specific instance of something. Inductive reasoning, while 100% accurate and is still a relatively quick way to make the decision, sometimes saving time is an important being accurate. Over the course of lifetime, we have witnessed hundreds of instances when animals eats, whether it is cow, elephant, okay. Have we ever witnessed every animal or the eat? However, by the basic biology and the common experience, we know that all animals must eat to survive. Okay, so deductive is all vegetable contains vitamin. Carrot is a vitamin, so carrot contains the vitamin. That is deductive. Inductive means most vegetables contains the vitamin. Carrot is a vegetable, so cannot contain its vitamin. So in deductive, we say all vegetables contains the vitamin. Carrot is a vegetable, so carrot contains the vitamin. In deductive, most there's a most is in inductive. So most vegetable contains the vitamin. Carrot is a vegetable, so carrot contains vitamin. So in inductive, we use most as a term. In deductive, we use a all as a term. Okay. Types of syllogism. Categorical. Here the relationship between the subject and the predicate is without any condition. There is no condition. That is the categorical. All trains are planes. All dogs are animals. Within syllogism, our focus is on categorical syllogism. All trains are planes. All dogs are animals. Okay. Hypothetical. The relationship between the subject and predicate is asserted conditionally. There is a condition. If it rains, he will not attend. Disjunctive. In a disjunctive proposition, the assertion is of the alteration. There is a alteration. Either he is courageous or he is strong. That is a disjunctive. And relational is like here the relation between the various term a greater than b greater than c, that is relational. So following type of questions appear regularly in the NET exam. First is deductive argument. So there is until by the premises. If that is until by the premises, that will be the deductive argument. Inductive reasoning, if that is uniformity of the nature, that is the inductive reasoning. Okay. Structure or argument. An argument in general is form of the communication that tries to persuade its audience to adopt a particular position about a topic. Argument have three main parts. A claim that states the position to the argue reason that logically explain why the claim should be accepted, and evidence that support the reason with facts, anecdote, statistics, expert testimony, and example. Reasoning has to be systematically and logical. There are two main components of reasoning. First, known the premise, statement, proposition, and conclusion. Structure of the argument deal with the basic term. Validity of the argument, converting the sentence into their logical form depending on the requirement, and then application of rules follows to arrive the conclusion. In the previous NET examination, many questions have been asked basic concept and term relating to the structure of the argument. So validity of the argument, deductive argument may be either valid or invalid. If an argument is valid, it is valid deduction, and if premise is true, the conclusion must be true. A valid argument cannot have the true premise and a false conclusion. Okay. The validity of an argument depends, however, not on the actual truth or falsity of its premise and conclusion, but solely on whether the argument has a valid logical from its not. The validity of an argument is not a guarantee of truth of its conclusion. Under a given interpretation, a valid argument may have false premise that render it inconclusive. So the following example are there. Okay, like uh, premise are true and conclusion is also true. Both, if both are true, conclusion of valid argument with or more false premise may be either true or false. So if both are true, then what? Then logic seeks to discover the valid form, the form that makes argument valid. A form of argument, if valid, if and only if conclusion is true under all interpretation of argument in which the premise are true. Okay, since the validity of the argument depends solely on its form, an argument can be shown to be invalid by showing that it form is invalid. This can be done by giving a counter example of same form of argument. And conclusion that is false under interpretation in informal logic, this is called the counter argument. If there is a conclusion false, then it will called as the counter argument. Okay, so some Indians are logicians, therefore some logicians are Indian. Valid argument, it would be self contradictory to admit that some Indians are logicians but deny that some logicians are Indian. That is valid argument. Some Indians are logicians, therefore some logicians are Indian. Some and some is the valid argument. All Indians are humans and all humans are mortal, therefore all Indians are mortal. That is valid argument. Okay. Invalid argument, for example, the tiresome logicians might all be Chinese. Okay, either we are all doomed or we are all saved. We are not all saved, therefore we are all doomed. So that is a valid argument until the conclusion. Remember that this does not mean the conclusion has to be true. It is only true if premises are true. So here the following example would help to clarify the aspect. Some men are lawyer, some lawyer are rich. Conclusion, some men are rich. Okay. So this argument is invalid. There is a way where you can determine whether an argument is valid and give a counter example with the same argument. Logical strength and the soundness are properties of argument. Truth is a property of the statement. Never say that that argument is false or that premise is logically strong. What is counter example? In a logic, a counter example is the exception to be proposed general rule. So all students are lazy makes the claim that a certain property laziness holds for all students. The structure of logical argument is based on what is important. That is correct answer is A here. That is based on formal validity. If there is a validity, then structure of logical argument based on the validity. Okay. So as I discussed, argument is valid if and only truth its premises entail the truth of its conclusion. So logical operation in the argument is valid. Analogous argument, like which of the following analogous statement? So analogous statement is man is like a goat. God is great. Gandhi is father of nation. Man is a nation being. There is a man is like a god. That is a analogous. Analogies are often used in argument to argue by. Analogy is to argue that because two things are similar, what is true of one is also true of the other. Such argument are called the analogical argument or argument by analogy. For example, like the Earth, Europa has an atmosphere containing the oxygen. It means that there might be life on Europa and it has an atmosphere contain oxygen just like the Earth. Proposition quantifiers all, no and some, they specify a quantity. All and no are universal quantity and some is particular quantity. Subject, about which something is being said. So something that affirms or denies about the subject. Relation between subject and predicate, that is copula. Quantifier, subject and copula plus predicate. Okay, so this is about all beds are boys, some prayers are doctors. Categorically, a proposition can have one of the two quality, affirmative, negative, that has been clarified through classification of proposition, that is a quality. So if there is a quality, categorical proposition can have one of the two quality. Quality is affirmative or negative, that has been clarified through classification of proposition. Okay, so quantifiers all, no and some, they are the specify the quantity. Subject, about which something is being said. Predicate, something that affirm to deny about the subject, that is predicate. Copula, that is relation between subject and predicate. So predicate is something deny about the subject, that is the affirm or deny both, that is predicate. And quality is the categorical proposition can have one of the two qualities, affirmative and or negative, that has been clarified through classification of proposition, that is quality. So classification of proposition: universal, positive or affirmative. It denotes the inclusion. All S is P, where S is subject and P is predicate. All cats are animal. It is basically about the inclusion. Okay, distribution. It distribute the subject only. In the above statement, cats are distributed in animal. Predicate is not interchangeable with the subject while maintaining the validity of a proposition. We cannot say that all animals are cat. So universal negative denotes no SSP, no fish or bird would be universal negative. Both a subject and predicate here. An entire class of predicate term is denied to be entire class of subject term. Now next one is particular. Particular proposition. Particular positive, it denotes partial inclusion. Some SSP, some men's are foolish. Okay, so neither the subject nor the predicate. In the example, subject term means is used not for all but only for some men, and similarly predicate term. So it denotes partial exclusion. Some S is not P, not every S is P. Some birds are not carnivorous, only of predicate. Okay, so all SRP, that is all politicians are liar. No SRP, no politician are liar. Some SRP, some politician are liar. Some S are not P, some politician are not liar. Universal is only subject. Universal negative is both subject and predicate. And particular positive, neither subject nor predicate. Particular negative, only predicate. According to our above discussion, A is minor term, C is major term, B is middle term. Conclusion. The conclusion: first term